Right now, while millions of people are waking up and stepping into their day, most of them are unknowingly setting themselves up for the same results they got yesterday. Not because they lack talent, not because they lack opportunity, not because life is working against them. The real reason is far more subtle. It happens quietly in the first few minutes after waking up, long before the first conversation, long before the first decision, long before the day truly begins. Research in psychology has shown that the brain is highly influenced by repeated thoughts and emotional patterns. What many people never realize is that the mind does not carefully examine every thought that passes through it. Instead, it pays attention to what is repeated. What is repeated becomes familiar. What becomes familiar starts to feel true, and what feels true often begins shaping behavior, choices, confidence, expectations, and even the opportunities people notice throughout the day. This is why two people can walk into the same situation and experience completely different outcomes. One sees possibilities, the other sees obstacles. One notices open doors, the other notices reasons to stay where they are. The difference often begins with the thoughts they carried into the day. That is exactly why this message matters. Before checking notifications, before thinking about responsibilities, before replaying yesterday's frustrations, there is an opportunity to create a different direction. Most people never take advantage of it. They wake up and immediately begin rehearsing stress. They review problems before solutions. They expect delays before progress. They focus on what is missing before recognizing what is possible. Then they wonder why every day feels so similar to the one before. What makes this even more fascinating is that the human brain is constantly filtering reality. Every second, it receives more information than it can consciously process. To manage this overload, it decides what deserves attention and what does not. The thoughts that dominate your mind influence that filter. When you expect disappointment, your brain becomes skilled at finding reasons to feel disappointed. When you expect progress, growth, opportunity, and positive outcomes, your brain becomes more alert to possibilities that were always there but previously ignored. This is one of the lesser-known truths about personal transformation. Major changes rarely begin with dramatic events. They often begin with small internal shifts that seem insignificant in the moment. A different thought, a different belief, a different expectation, a different way of speaking to yourself. These tiny changes can create a completely different emotional state, and that emotional state influences actions, decisions, persistence, resilience, and confidence. Over time, those actions create results. Yet most people spend years looking for external answers while overlooking the internal patterns quietly directing their lives. Today we are going to explore a different approach, not a complicated strategy, not a secret formula, not a magical shortcut. Instead, you will discover how your morning mindset influences the energy you carry throughout the day, why repeated thoughts have more power than most people realize, how expectations can shape behavior in ways that often go unnoticed, and why the first minutes after waking up may be some of the most important moments of your entire day. You will also learn how to break free from mental habits that keep people stuck in cycles of frustration, doubt, hesitation, and fear. Most importantly, you will discover a simple shift that can help you enter today with a completely different mindset. As this message unfolds, you may notice certain ideas connecting with experiences from your own life, moments when confidence changed an outcome, times when a positive expectation led to an unexpected opportunity, situations where fear prevented action before anything had even gone wrong. These patterns are far more common than many people think. The good news is that patterns can be changed, new mental habits can be created, new expectations can be formed, new results can begin with a new way of thinking. There is another reason to stay with this message until the very end. The final part contains a powerful mindset shift that brings everything together. It is simple, yet many people overlook it for years. Once understood, it can change the way you approach challenges, opportunities, goals, relationships, and even the way you see yourself. Sometimes a single realization arrives at exactly the right moment and begins creating momentum that continues long after the day is over. That moment could be closer than you think. So for the next few minutes, set aside distractions. Give yourself permission to focus. Allow these words to sink in. Today does not have to follow the same script as yesterday. The next few minutes could influence the next few hours, and those hours could influence much more than you currently realize. A new direction always begins with a new decision, and the decision to think differently may be one of the most powerful choices a person can make. If you are ready to start this day with a stronger mindset, a clearer focus, and a greater sense of possibility, then stay with me all the way to the end, because this message was designed to help you enter today differently than you entered yesterday. And if you enjoy content that helps you unlock your potential, strengthen your mindset, and create positive change from the inside out, make sure to subscribe to the channel and become part of this growing community. Welcome to the channel, and now let's begin. Most people never realize how much of their day is decided before they even get out of bed. The eyes open, and almost immediately the mind begins running familiar programs. Bills, responsibilities, deadlines, problems, worries, unfinished tasks, conversations that might go wrong, situations that have not even happened yet. Instead of stepping into a new day, many people unknowingly replay yesterday. They start the morning by feeding attention to fear, and fear has a way of growing when it receives attention. The mind is always listening. It notices repetition. Whatever is repeated again and again starts becoming a command. When a person repeatedly tells themselves that life is difficult, the mind begins looking for evidence that life is difficult. When a person repeatedly expects rejection, the mind becomes sensitive to signs of rejection. When a person repeatedly focuses on what could go wrong, they begin preparing emotionally for failure before success has even been given a chance. This is one of the most common forms of self-sabotage, and it happens so quietly that most people never recognize it. They think they are being realistic. They think they are preparing themselves. They think they are protecting themselves from disappointment. But often they are simply rehearsing fear. Every morning becomes a practice session for the outcomes they do not want. Fear creates hesitation. Hesitation creates delay. Delay creates missed opportunities. A person wants to speak up but remains silent. A person wants to apply for something but waits. A person wants to start but postpones. A person wants to take a chance but chooses comfort instead. Then they look at their results and wonder why life is not changing. The answer is often hidden inside the expectations they carry every day. Expectations influence behavior more than most people realize. If someone expects failure, they often approach situations differently. Their energy changes. Their confidence changes. Their effort changes. Their persistence changes. The expectation becomes a lens through which everything is interpreted. Small setbacks feel larger. Small obstacles feel permanent. Small challenges feel like proof that success is impossible. Yet the opposite is also true. A person who expects growth approaches life differently. They continue longer. They recover faster. They remain open when others close themselves off. They notice possibilities where others notice problems. This is why the first thoughts of the morning matter so much. They create a direction. They establish momentum. They influence emotional energy before the day has fully begun. Many people spend years trying to change external circumstances without realizing that internal expectations are influencing nearly every choice they make. The mind follows repeated instructions. Give it fear every morning, and it becomes skilled at finding reasons to be afraid. Give it confidence every morning, and it begins searching for reasons to move forward. Give it possibility every morning, and it becomes more aware of opportunities. The world may not change overnight, but the way you move through the world certainly can. And when the way you move changes, outcomes often begin changing as well. If fear can influence your day, imagine what confidence can do. Every day you become more like the person you believe you are. This process happens whether you notice it or not. Identity is not simply a label. It is not merely a description. It is a collection of beliefs about yourself that quietly shape your decisions. If a person believes they are unlucky, they often act differently than someone who believes they are capable. If a person believes they are always overlooked, they often carry themselves differently than someone who believes they deserve success. These beliefs become instructions. They influence actions. They influence emotions. They influence habits. Over time, they influence results. Many people spend years trying to create a better life while holding on to an identity that belongs to an older version of themselves. They want confidence but continue describing themselves as insecure. They want abundance but continue seeing themselves as limited. They want change but continue defining themselves by past failures. The challenge is not always the goal itself. The challenge is often the identity standing behind the goal. Every action begins with a belief about who you are. This is why success starts internally. Long before it appears in the outer world, it begins as a decision within the mind. Confidence is not something that magically arrives after achievement. Confidence often begins before achievement. It begins when a person decides to trust themselves enough to move forward despite uncertainty. It begins when a person stops waiting for perfect conditions. It begins when a person chooses a new story about who they are becoming. Many people spend years chasing confidence without realizing that confidence grows through action. The decision comes first. The evidence follows later. One reason identity is so powerful is because the mind naturally tries to remain consistent with what it believes. If someone believes they are disciplined, they tend to make choices that support that identity. If someone believes they are resilient, they recover more quickly from setbacks. If someone believes they are worthy of success, they often pursue opportunities that align with that belief. Identity shapes behavior. Behavior shapes results. Results reinforce identity. The cycle continues day after day. This is why changing your view of yourself can be so transformative. You do not need to become a completely different person. You do not need to erase your past. You do not need to pretend difficulties never happened. What matters is recognizing that yesterday does not have to define today. The version of yourself that made mistakes is not the only version that exists. The version of yourself that experienced setbacks is not the final version. Growth becomes possible when you stop treating old limitations as permanent truths. Every morning provides a chance to choose again. Every morning provides an opportunity to strengthen a new identity. Every morning provides a moment to decide what kind of person you are becoming. Many people focus on what they want. They think constantly about goals, outcomes, possessions, opportunities, and achievements. Yet often the deeper question is not what you want. The deeper question is what you believe you deserve. Because people naturally move toward what feels consistent with their self-image. If success feels unfamiliar, they may unconsciously resist it. If happiness feels undeserved, they may struggle to fully embrace it. If abundance feels impossible, they may overlook opportunities connected to it. Today's results often reflect yesterday's self-image, the beliefs you repeated, the story you accepted, the expectations you carried. This realization is powerful because it means change can begin now. Not next month, not next year, now. You do not need permission to believe something greater about yourself. You do not need external validation to recognize your worth. You do not need to wait for the world to tell you who you are. You can decide. You can choose, you can remember. You don't need to become someone new. You need to remember who you truly are. For many people, life becomes exhausting because they are constantly chasing approval, chasing validation, chasing certainty, chasing guarantees, chasing outcomes they cannot control. The harder they chase, the more resistance they feel. The more resistance they feel, the more frustrated they become. It becomes a cycle of effort without peace. Yet there is another way to move through the day, a calmer way, a stronger way, a way that does not depend on forcing every result. Not everything has to be pushed. Not everything has to be controlled. Not everything has to happen according to a specific plan in order for progress to occur. Sometimes opportunities arrive when the mind becomes less rigid. Sometimes solutions appear when attention relaxes. Sometimes answers emerge when the constant struggle finally stops. This does not mean giving up. It does not mean becoming passive. It does not mean refusing to take action. It means releasing unnecessary resistance. It means allowing space for possibilities that may not match your expectations. Life often contains opportunities that cannot be predicted in advance. Conversations that open new doors, ideas that arrive unexpectedly, connections that lead somewhere important, moments that change direction without warning. Many of these opportunities are missed because people become so focused on what they fear that they fail to notice what is available. Expectations influence perception. When disappointment is expected, disappointment becomes easier to find. When possibility is expected, possibility becomes easier to recognize. Today may contain opportunities you cannot currently see. It may contain answers that have not yet appeared. It may contain progress that is already moving toward you. The challenge is remaining open enough to notice. The mind becomes more receptive when it is not consumed by fear. It becomes more creative when it is not overwhelmed by worry. It becomes more resourceful when it is not trapped in resistance. This is why openness matters. This is why receiving matters. Instead of beginning the day with tension, begin it with trust. Instead of beginning the day with fear, begin it with possibility. Instead of assuming disappointment, allow room for positive outcomes. There may be people entering your life who can help you grow. There may be ideas waiting to reveal themselves. There may be opportunities already developing beyond your current awareness. Stay open, stay present, stay receptive. Repeat quietly within yourself, I am ready to receive. Let those words settle into your thoughts. I am ready to receive. Not because every challenge has disappeared, not because every question has been answered, but because you are willing to stop resisting possibilities that have not yet revealed themselves. I am ready to receive. Allow that phrase to become stronger. Allow it to become familiar. Allow it to guide the energy you bring into this day. I am ready to receive. Today is working in my favor. Even if I cannot see every detail yet, I trust that progress is unfolding. I welcome unexpected blessings. I welcome positive surprises. I welcome opportunities that support my growth. I trust the timing of my life. I release the need to compare my journey with anyone else's journey. I understand that growth happens in different ways and at different speeds. I am worthy of abundance. I am worthy of happiness. I am worthy of peace. I am worthy of opportunities that align with my highest potential. I am attracting the right opportunities. I am becoming more aware of possibilities around me. I notice doors that were previously invisible. I notice solutions where I once saw only obstacles. My energy is calm. My mind is focused. I do not need chaos to create momentum. I do not need stress to create results. I can move forward with clarity and confidence. I am open to receiving good news. I am open to positive experiences. I am open to supportive connections. I am open to moments that remind me how much is possible. Everything I need is finding its way to me. The resources I need, the knowledge I need, the courage I need, the opportunities I need, the growth I need. I release fear. I release old limitations. I release the stories that no longer serve me. I release the belief that I must remain who I used to be. I choose faith. I choose trust. I choose possibility. I choose progress. I choose growth. I expect positive outcomes. I expect meaningful experiences. I expect opportunities to learn and expand. I expect reasons to be grateful. I am becoming the person I was meant to be. Each day I grow stronger. Each day I become more aware. Each day I move closer to my highest potential. Today is working in my favor. I welcome unexpected blessings. I trust the timing of my life. I am worthy of abundance. I am attracting the right opportunities. My energy is calm. My mind is focused. I am open to receiving good news. Everything I need is finding its way to me. I release fear. I choose faith. I expect positive outcomes. I am becoming the person I was meant to be. Many of the most important changes in life begin long before they become visible. A seed spends time beneath the surface before anyone sees evidence of growth. Roots develop before branches appear. Foundations are built before structures rise. Nature follows this pattern, and personal transformation often follows the same pattern. Yet many people become discouraged because they expect immediate proof. They expect instant results. They expect visible evidence right away. When that evidence does not appear quickly, they assume nothing is happening. They assume their efforts are wasted. They assume progress has stopped. But growth is not always visible in the beginning. Sometimes the most important work is happening where it cannot yet be seen. Every thought plants something. Every belief strengthens something. Every choice reinforces something. The mind changes gradually. Habits change gradually. Identity changes gradually. Momentum builds gradually. Small shifts repeated consistently often create outcomes that appear dramatic later. The challenge is remaining committed during the invisible phase. The phase where results are developing but not yet obvious. The phase where progress exists beneath the surface. The phase where patience becomes essential. Many people abandon positive changes because they mistake invisibility for failure. They stop too early. They quit too soon. They judge the process before it has had time to unfold. Yet history is filled with examples of breakthroughs that appeared sudden only because the invisible preparation was hidden. What looked like an overnight success often involved years of unseen effort. What looked like an instant transformation often involved countless internal changes that nobody witnessed. The same principle applies here. Every morning creates momentum. Every morning reinforces a direction. Every morning influences the version of yourself that you are becoming. Trust the process. Trust the growth that is taking place beneath the surface. Trust the habits that are being strengthened. Trust the beliefs that are being reshaped. Trust the new identity that is emerging. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean nothing is happening. Just because results have not fully appeared does not mean progress is absent. Just because the destination is not visible does not mean the path is not working. Some of the most powerful changes happen quietly. They happen within thoughts. They happen within beliefs. They happen within expectations. They happen within identity. And once those internal shifts become strong enough, the outer world often begins reflecting them in ways that seem surprising, even though the process started long before anyone could see it. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean nothing is happening. Trust the process. Trust the growth. Trust the direction. Trust the momentum that is being created right now. Every thought matters. Every morning matters. Every decision matters. And every day you continue moving forward. Even in small ways, you strengthen the future that is slowly taking shape beneath the surface. As you move through the rest of this day, carry these words with you, not just for the next few minutes, but for every conversation, every decision, every challenge, and every opportunity that comes your way. Remember that the energy you bring into today matters. The thoughts you repeat matter. The beliefs you choose to hold on to matter. Your future is not being shaped by one big moment alone. It is being shaped by the small thoughts, small choices, and small actions you repeat every single day. Maybe today will look ordinary on the surface. Maybe the changes will be quiet at first. Maybe the progress will be invisible. But never underestimate the power of a single morning that begins with a different mindset. Never underestimate what can happen when you stop feeding fear and start feeding possibility. Never underestimate what can happen when you choose confidence over doubt, faith over worry, and growth over limitation. Maybe today won't change your entire life, but maybe today becomes the day that starts changing everything. The day you stop expecting the worst and start preparing for the best. The day you stop talking yourself out of opportunities and start stepping toward them. The day you stop focusing on what is missing and start recognizing what is possible. A new opportunity, a new connection, a new idea, a new breakthrough, a new level of confidence. And one day, months or even years from now, you may look back at this moment and realize that the turning point was not some dramatic event. It was a simple decision, a quiet decision, a powerful decision. The decision to believe in yourself a little more. The decision to trust the journey. The decision to expect good things. The decision to wake up and think differently. Because sometimes the biggest transformation begins long before anyone can see it. Sometimes the breakthrough arrives the moment you stop doubting that it can. Sometimes life starts changing the instant you decide that your future can be greater than your past. So walk into today with confidence.